That's right, everybody. Welcome back to a little bit more of a somber edition of Best Seat in the House podcast. We are here live, as always. Once again, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us here. We are a couple of real Americans right here live for you on this Thursday night. Shout out to Rick Derringer for that great song, but also we want to give our heartfelt sympathies to not only the immortal Hulk Hogan, as he goes off to Valhalla today, Dan. And we lost Hulk Hogan earlier today. Unfortunately, they said he wasn't doing too good over the last couple of days. Turned out to be true. He passed away. And then it's the second big celebrity death of the week, where actually technically third if you count the Huxtable kid dying earlier from the Cosby Show. But also, Dan, Ozzy Osbourne passing away earlier this week. Two giants. That just condolences to those families, and really tough that two icons we lost this week.
Yeah, that is just tough seeing that. I cannot go off words. I mean, we just lost two of the greats. A couple of things I got to say about Ozzy Osbourne. Shame on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame voters for waiting too long to vote him in, to the point that he couldn't perform at his induction ceremony. Shame on him. And then the other thing, just complete tragic. What happened to Hulk Hogan? I don't know what happened to the doctors or something. I've heard negative comments about Florida, about some doctors in Florida, that they're not so great. Not sure how true that is, but I just know we lost an icon, and someone I know some people in the Tampa area who told me that Hulk Hogan was just a prominent figure in the Tampa area. Like, he was like always greeting people patrons that went to his bar and stuff. And there was a possibility in a couple of weeks, because of my grandmother wanted to visit some relatives, some of the relatives in the area, and I didn't want her to go. My mother didn't want her to go alone, so I had to make sure she was on the plane with someone else. Me, that I was on the plane with her to keep an eye on her. I was gonna stop by that bar in that area, possibility to meet him, but that never going to be. And we lost someone who was a part of one of the first WWE shows I got to see as a kid at the Garden.
Yeah, man, it's a shame. Everybody, I'm sure there are obviously going to be people out there today shitting on Hogan, as there always is. But for the most part, people like us, we just love the joy that Hogan brought everybody, and the happiness. And same thing with Ozzy too. Ozzy, it was amazing to see his final show just a couple of weeks ago. And hey man, it sucks. And the same thing you said about Hogan too. It seemed like there was some kind of issue with the recent surgery he had. They said that he had some kind of damage to his trachea. He couldn't talk over the last couple of days. So it's a shame, man. And
it's a shame that happened. And I also have to say, what was I going to say? Is that trying to remember what I was going to say about Hulk Hogan. At my job, I wear a Hulkamania shirt at work when I'm loading the trucks.
Yeah, there you go, showing off the 24-inch pythons, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I just want to do it to bring some energy with that rough job. That's what I do.
Exactly.
I purposely wear that to bring this energy for like a job that feels that's like demoralizing with the stress. I can tell you that. And the other thing now I remember what I was going to say. The crazy thing about when I found out that he died, I had just ordered a case of real American beer for a barbecue in my house this weekend.
Very funny. I've been looking into trying to pick that up too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah,
I'm sure that'll pick up some steam,
yeah,
especially
yeah, yeah,
after
yeah,
his
yeah.
passing.
I only recently finally found out that there was finally places in my area selling it, because I knew there was some place. I knew there was some places in Long Island. I remember Hogan was doing an appearance in Long Island that, unfortunately, I couldn't get anyone to drive me to. Otherwise, I would have went. But I went. I found out there's some kind of beer distributor not far from me that was selling it when I typed in when I typed in my area code, my zip code, and they were. I finally found out they were selling it near me, and what a coincidence! I get this text from one of my relatives that told me, "Oh, did you hear this on the news? That happened."
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, man. So you know, best wishes to the Hulkster and his family, and same thing to Ozzy. And I wanted to bring this up too. So shout out to $20 is $20 hanging out with us here on X as we're doing this live show here. He just drops a brother in there, but I wanted to leave it up because I really enjoy his AVI picture there
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
Caravello
Yeah,
covering him.
that's funny. I knew that was a Perry reference with the $20 is $20. I knew that clearly was a Perry reference,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
yeah,
And we
yeah,
missed
and
PCL. Come on, PCL. We need you back. I
yeah,
need my
yeah, yeah,
Mondays and Fridays.
yeah, exactly. And he's someone I hope to meet if I could ever get out to the West Coast. I hope to meet him.
Absolutely, man. That's the king of Reseda right there, Mr. Perry Caravello. So at least we didn't lose him this week. It was a sad week as Lee Slater hanging out with us in here, Rip Hogan and Ozzy, absolutely. And yeah, man. So, but PhD as always hanging out with us in here, and he's saying Bobo and Cramer, let's go. You got that right, brother. In honor of Hogan and in honor of Ozzy, let's get it
Yeah,
rolling here, my friend.
yep. And I gotta say one more thing about Hogan. This
Yeah,
our very area, New York, has a very prominent part of Hulk Hogan's career. WrestleMania 1 happened in Madison Square Garden, an event that literally launched WWE into what it is today, is because of the
no doubt
success of
about
that
it.
event. And if you've ever walked through I don't know if you ever noticed this, like walk through the whole corridors of the garden, like the little hallways. You notice like there's memorabilia from stuff from concerts and sporting events that happened at the garden. Have you ever noticed that they have one of the areas? There's like little memorabilia from WrestleMania 1,
Oh
including
yeah,
including the shirt he wore in that very event.
you're
Is one
right.
is what
You're right.
is one of the things that's on display in the hallways of the garden.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So he's an icon, and he'll live on forever, man. And it's the same thing too. He not only main evented WrestleMania 1 at the Garden there, but he also won his first ever WWF Championship when he beat the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden a little over a year prior to that, in January of 1984. So yeah, man, it's definitely historic. Everybody, the same people. There are names, especially in wrestling around here. There are names in the New York area, WWF names that everybody knows. Guys like Bruno Sammartino, guys like superstar Billy Graham, guys like Hulk Hogan, and every bit. Those are the legends that will live on forever.
Yep, and of course, even in my own home borough of Queens, in Shea Stadium in 1980, Hulk Hogan fought Andre the Giant at Shea Stadium in the
He
only
did.
time WW what's now known as WWE hosted an event at Shea Stadium in
No, they actually
1980.
hosted a couple. They hosted a couple of them. They used to call them Showdown at Shays. I actually also saw a Larry Zabisco versus I forget who it was. It might have been Superstar Billy Graham, or it might have been somebody else. But I saw a cage match also at Shea Stadium there too. So
I,
they
think
had a few
I
of them.
I think that was Bruno Sammartino, if I'm correct.
It could have been Bruno too. It could have been Bruno against Larry. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was Bruno against Larry. You're right. Good call. Yeah, so they did have a couple of Shea Stadium, bouts there as well. And yeah, you're right. And it's funny looking back on it that Hogan was the bad guy in that Hogan Andre match you're talking about. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
and by the way, I have a recommendation to WWE. I think they need to do like a nod to those early WWE shows and do a WWE event at a City Field as a nod to that.
I hope they do actually, and I think that might not necessarily be that far off. Although they do like going to football stadiums, so that's why they're doing SummerSlam this
But
in about a week and a half. But it's going to be at MetLife because they like the whole football stadium things. But
but
Survivor Series this year, the November pay-per-view, is actually going to be in Petco Park or whatever they call it now, where the San Diego Padres play. So,
I agree.
doing a baseball stadium, I guess it's possible we see something at City Field eventually.
Yeah, I get, and I also have a weird feeling my brother is probably going to be there because he, with all his connections in San Diego, he's probably already got tickets to that. Probably got really good seats knowing him.
This is true. This is true. All right, Dan. So let's get it rolling now. Here, we got the the sad stuff out of the way, and let's turn to some good news here right now, Dan. As you know, our Mets they've still been a pretty good team, but they have gone through quite a bit of struggles over the last month. However, coming out of the All-Star break, we were feeling pretty good about them. When they dropped those first two games to the Reds, there was a
Yeah,
lot of frustration, Dan. You
yeah,
were there on Saturday. You heard you felt it live and in person. I heard it over the TV. There's a lot of frustration in Met fans losing those first two games, but it felt so great getting that monkey off our back, beating the Reds on Sunday afternoon, and then turning around and sweeping the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim 3 consecutive games here at Citi Field. That's exactly what the doctor ordered, Dan.
yep, that's right. And finally, I could use that first place bitches meme again.
That's true. That's true. The Mets have officially moved back into first place as the Phillies last night lost an extra inning game to the Boston Red Sox. And I got to tell you, too, I did not think the Phillies were going to lose that game. So I was so happy when they finally choked and lost.
Yep, I know what you mean. I was, I was, I was watching that game. I don't know if you have a subscription to MLB.TV, but I've mentioned it many times because my mobile provider is T-Mobile. They run that promotion, that free MLB.TV promotion. So because of that, I was watching a game. I was watching the Boston feed of the game.
Yeah, and it was a really entertaining game and a great job by the Red Sox to help us out a little bit yesterday, help put the Mets back in first place. And Dan,
Yep,
what better thing too? Yeah, what are you gonna say?
and of course of course earlier that day I was at the Met game in the afternoon, and I don't know if you have if you have saw the picture I sent you. To the right of me, a fan next to me was pointing out to me. He says, "Take a look. Who's sitting in that suite to the right of us, right?" And I noticed Jerry Seinfeld. I knew Jerry Seinfeld is at Met games from time to time in some suite he probably owns, but I never expected I'd be sitting somewhere that I could actually see clearly see him and make out that is in fact him. Next to according to what I found out from some people who figured out that was the guy in the Braves hat, that was George Wallace, and
George Wallace wearing a Braves hat at a Mets Angels game.
yeah, that. And people were making references to that episode when Elaine wearing the Orioles hat. They
Yeah.
were making. I posted this on a Seinfeld Facebook group, and let me tell you, the comments were full of some funny references. Like I gotta read some of these references because these Seinfeld references, because there was so many funny ones. They said, from what it looks like, I don't know if you've seen a picture. It looks like he had some straw or something, but they thought he was smoking. So they says, "Oh, we smoking peace pipe." someone said to me, "Did you start making yelping noise to try to get his attention?" Parentheses, stinky donuts.
Yep. Just as Kramer did.
Yep. Someone put take the pen. The exclamation point. He's a real fancy boy. The seats have been flagged. Someone put. And did somebody accidentally drop a junior mint? And then someone said, "Doctor, I think we're losing him," because they saw George Wallace next to him, who you remember that episode remember the scene with the witchy woman, and they said, "Doctor, I think we're losing him."
Yeah.
That they were referencing that. They were saying another one.
All right.
They were saying about George Wallace wearing a Braves hat. Braves fan at a Met game. Such an Elaine move.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to find another one that was funny. Let's see. Trying to find a.
Right. Well, let's keep going along. You don't just sit here, you staring at your phone.
I'm sorry. There's just. I could go all day because there was just so many funny good ones, but the point across, I got the point across that fans were that Seinfeld fans on that Facebook page were posting so many funny Seinfeld references when I shared that photo with the Facebook group, a Seinfeld Facebook group. They just had fun. They just had so much fun with that one, with the Seinfeld references. Of course, obviously I didn't try to approach him because I kind of know that it's kind of an unwritten rule in the sporting events that when stars are at sporting events, you kind of don't really approach them because they're trying to watch the game like the rest of us.
Yeah, well, and exactly. And guess what? You got treated to a pretty nice game there yesterday. You and Jerry did, as also during that game too. The big thing, Dan, for that game was Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso breaking out. You know, we saw Alonso hit the opposite field 3-run shot. We saw Francisco Lindor break out with 2 RBI singles after he was in an 0 for 31 stretch, and it just looked like it was never going to end. So, I mean, you know, you felt it too, Dan. It felt like the last couple of days Lindor was getting close, but for Alonso and Lindor to break out in the same game, in the same inning too, it took all the pressure off.
Yeah, exactly. And also, because and this game was a day game, a weekday afternoon game, and that stadium was packed. Like there was quite a big crowd. Like, you know that the Mets there's something special going on in Flushing, New York, when you got that many people attending a weekday day game. That's when you know things are going good.
The Mets averaged 41,000 people a game at this homestand. Yep. So, you know, we're going to talk about that a little bit more later when we get into the trade deadline stuff, but the Mets better be rewarding their fan base, because Steve Cohen was crying in spring training about people not showing up last year. Well, the reason for that, Steve genius, is because the team sucked the year before. So, and you had a dog shit offseason, so nobody believed in the team until about a week before the season ended. So, you know, you can't blame the fan base for that. You finally gave us something to be happy about this year. You gave us a team that succeeded last year, and you gave us one of the biggest offseason additions we've ever had. And boom, what a shock. People are showing up this year. But we'll get into that in a minute, Dan, as I do want to give a lot of credit also to Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz, you could give him, you know, one of the stars of the series if you want, because not only did he have one of the most dominating innings he's had all year in game 1 of this series, when he struck out the side on 10 pitches on Tuesday night and looked as good as he's ever looked. Then yesterday afternoon he came in And although, let's be honest, it was a little bit rocky in the 8th inning when he came in, and I don't know what that umpire was looking at, but Edwin Diaz threw 6 pitches in that at bat, and not one of them should have been a strike. Somehow, the umpire called 3 of them a strike, and you know what, Dan? Sometimes you just got to take it. The Mets always get screwed with umpires. You always hear me and you not happy with the umpiring. I'll take the umpire doing us a little bit of a favor yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like so many times us Met fans have been in the losing end of shit like that. Got it for once us to be on the winning end of that. So
yeah, exactly. Diaz,
that felt good. And of course, the reason I was sitting that close is because earlier this year I had a couple of tickets that carried over from last year. From the little Mets rewards thing that they get from each thing you spend at Citi Field, and I used it for some tickets, and some of those tickets were lowerable, little free ticket coupons during weekday games. So I just I cashed some of them in, and I tried spacing them out, some of those free ticket coupons, in hopes that maybe I potentially get to see Pete Alonso break the Mets all-time home run record. And I got some of those free coupons left that I haven't redeemed yet, that I'm probably trying to time right to maybe make it increase a possibility, and maybe buy some tickets to some other games while they're cheap, to increase the possibility of me being there, assuming it happens at home, because there's that possibility it could happen on the road. But assuming it happens on the road at home, I'm going to try to be there, and hopefully it happens during a game that's broadcasted on SNY or WPAX. This way we can make sure we have Gary Cohen beat it. And I also got to say, as you know, Howie Rose doesn't usually do road games. I wonder if Howie Rose is going to maybe make an exception to try to be there if it happens on the road when Pete breaks the record, to make sure he gets to call that moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Mets and CBS broadcasting and everything handles that. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that, no doubt about it. But I did want to give that shout out to Edwin Diaz. That 4-out save was huge. He went out and had a good 9th inning to come back. And Edwin Diaz, for my money, Dan, has been the best reliever in baseball this year, and that's why it's even more. It doesn't matter. I want to start this criticism off by saying it doesn't matter, but it still pisses me off that Dave Roberts used Roberto Suarez to get the save in the All-Star game and not Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz is the best reliever in baseball statistically, and it's not even close right now. It's not even close. He's 5-0. He's got an ERA of 1.5. Nobody's even near that. And he uses Roberto Suarez, who stinks. And okay, to be fair, he doesn't stink, but come on.
That I just immediately put Dave Roberts on the Shizer list during that when that moment happened.
Hey Dan, I don't know why your mic is kind of crapping out a little bit. Can you give it a little tap or something? See.
All right, is it working? Is it working fine? Can you hear me better?
I don't know. I'm getting a lot of feedback on it.
Oh, hold on. Are you sure this isn't the fan?
No, it's still going.
Oh. Hold on. Let me sign out. And see if that works.
Yeah, and turn it off and turn it back on. All right, so we'll be joined by Dan again in a sec as he tries to get that under control there. So I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us here on this Thursday evening. Got a lot going on right now, and not only with the Mets and everything too, but they had the NFL training camps have started today. We'll get into that in a little bit when Dan gets back, as we already have a major injury for the Jets. We'll talk about that in a sec. Let's see. It looks like we are being rejoined by Bobo now.
Yep. All right. How am I sounding?
You sound better.
All right. That's good. I'm sounding like that Verizon commercial.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I used to make fun. I was making fun of that commercial when the whole Anthony Weiner thing happened. I kept saying, "Can you see my jump now? Good."
Oh man. And all right, Dan. So let's keep it rolling along here now. As we got, I did want to give that credit to Edwin Diaz. I also want to give some credit to Sean Manaea. Man, how good has Sean Manaea looked since he's come back? He got the win, his first win since his return from the IL yesterday. 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 Ks. As you can see, he's 1-1 now with a 2.19 ERA. I did like one of my criticisms from Mendoza after his last start is that they only increased his pitching from 67 pitches thrown to 69 pitches thrown over the course of 5 days. It really pissed me off that they didn't try to build him up. But this time they finally let him go a little bit more, throw 82 pitches in this game, get his arm a little bit closer to being that 100-pitch guy the Mets are going to need going forward. And, hey, Sean Manaea has looked great ever since he's come back, Dan. And, the one thing that he said, I was listening to his post-game comments after, and he said the one thing he's fighting right now is just his stamina. He's just trying to get that stamina back up to where he could go deep into games. And the Mets are doing, a good job right now of getting him ready to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I expect by September he'll be pitching deep into games.
Even before that.
Yeah. I'm sure before that, but especially September when you're really gonna need it in September down that stretch one, because I feel the competition is going to get tougher, especially when you're playing against teams that are contending, which are going to also be making trades. Multiple teams are going to be making trades. That's where you're really going to get after the trading deadline. I feel like is where you're really going to get a key sense of who the contenders are.
Oh yeah, you're going to be able to tell who was buying and who really believes in their team. You're going to be able to tell who's selling is completely given up, and you're going to get the teams in between that, are going to try to, do the hokey pokey and be half in, half out. So that's going to be interesting to see how everything falls.
And I can tell you, Mr. Big Nose, you better go all in. Get us some pitching.
Yeah, well, Dan, we're going to be talking about that too. We might as well do a little bit talking about it right now as we're looking at what the Mets and the Yankees. We'll talk about the let's just wrap this up first and then we'll get into it. We haven't even done the Yankees yet. So I want to also give credit. We can bitch and moan whatever we want about David Stearns all we want. He hasn't done anything yet at the it's not the deadline yet, so he's still got a week left. So we're still monitoring to see how he handles this deadline. We all know, I agree, Dan, it's the time to go all in. But we got to give credit where credit's due. Brooks Raleigh was a free agent. He all off season he didn't sign to anybody, and the Mets were proactive, which you need to be in professional sports. You cannot be reactive. You have to be proactive. That's exactly what the Mets did. They signed Brooks Raleigh. It was a great little bit of a safety net, especially after Mike Minter went down. I'm sorry, not Mike Minter, AJ Minter went down earlier this year, the lefty who the Mets signed as a free agent this offseason, and he's going to be gone all year. Brooks Raleigh steps in, and he's been on the team for a week. He's already got a win. He looks good. He's putting up zeros. Dan, this is exactly the guy the Mets need.
Yeah, exactly. This is who we needed. He's coming through. He's coming through big, and there's going to be some key moments down the stretch with him. Like, we may have finally found our eighth inning guy that I feel is very key. Like, we need to have the eighth inning figured out to not overuse Diaz down the stretch. And I said it the same thing the last year. I feel like our bullpen was worn out by the time the playoffs came along.
Yeah, and now we got a guy that is only going to be getting, right into the swing of things as the time the playoffs come around. It's only right now, he's going to appear in how many games by the time the postseason starts. Let's just say there's 60 games left right now, and Brooks Raleigh appears in, let's say, half of them. So 30 games going into the postseason, between 30 and 40 innings, maybe? That's That's nothing compared to what these guys do most of the time. So the Mets are going to have a very healthy, very rested, ready to go Brooks Raleigh going into the bullpen. And another guy, too, who just took a couple of weeks off, took about a month off before being activated yesterday and rejoining the Mets bullpen, is Jose Butto. No, he didn't really look too good. He gave up 3 hits and 2 runs, but you can't be that crazy with it. He's still getting back into the swing of things. And I think having Jose Butto in the bullpen right now, he might not be what you want to call in the circle of trust. That's I'm a big Met fan. I keep tabs on their bullpen. You know how these guys act, and the Mets are a better team with Jose Butto than not, right, Dan?
Yeah, exactly, and hopefully less headache innings from Jose Butto, because it's very 50-50 if he's going to give me a headache.
It can be. But you know what, though? I heard a lot of Met fans complaining yesterday about Jose Butto, and I went back and looked, and this is the reality of it, because I even kind of thought myself, like, Butto's giving it up again. He's not looking too good. For this season, the guy's 2-1 with a 2.84 ERA. Not too bad. But let's even go further than that, including giving up those runs yesterday. In his last 7 appearances, which spanned over 10 1/3 innings, his ERA is 1.74. So, the guy, say what you want, he's still getting outs when it matters. And I did want to give Jose Butto a little bit of credit there. And, Dan, now it's all going to depend on what's going on with the deadline and everything. And that's going to be a week from today. Before we get there, though, the Mets are going to be playing the next 3 games in San Francisco, 10:15 p.m. on Friday night. Clay Holmes, 8-5 with a 3.48 ERA, taking the mound at San Francisco against Logan Webb, who's one of their better pitchers, 9-7 with a 3.08 ERA. Now, the Giants have lost 7 of their last 10 games, so they haven't been playing too well, but they did just beat the Braves 2 out of 3. So they did us a little favor, burying the Braves a little bit more, and they have been playing well, so maybe the Mets could take advantage of that this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the Mets need to at least take 2 out of 3 from them. And they need to do a good job to keep as many runs off the board against them. That's going to be a key thing. The other thing, kind of relieved this is on a weekend. So there's not going to be much of having them. It's not going to be a situation where I'm going to need the coffee. Though I might need I might need the coffee to stay up. I forgot, is Saturday a late afternoon game, or that's a night game also?
I want to say, I'll double check right now. I believe Saturday it's not a 10:15 start. I think it's a 9 o'clock start. So I don't think it's an afternoon game. But let me double check right now. It's a 9 o'clock start. Yep. Yeah, so it's all night games. We got 10:15. It's 10:15 tomorrow night, 9:05 on Saturday, and then obviously the Sunday night game in San Francisco at 7 o'clock.
The one that I feel like really messes up East Coast teams. Dumb dreaded Sunday night and stupid Michael K, which I can tell you, word of advice, as always, hit the mute button. Put the radio feed, whether it's you're in an area where you could get the 90, news rate 80 ESPN New York on your radio, or hit the mute button and put the if you have MLB.TV, put the radio feed via there, and put the commentary from the radio booth during the game.
That's right.
So you don't have to hear that. So you don't have to hear that awful voice of Michael K.
That's right. And not only, we don't have to worry though about the adverse effects of traveling after a Sunday night game, because the Mets are going to be staying out on the West Coast. They're going to have off on that following Monday, I believe. I'll double check that right now. But either way, they are going to have an off day mixed in there. But let me see. No, they're actually playing on Monday night, but it's going to be in San Diego. So they don't have that off day built in. but they're going to be staying in California, so it's not going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
All they're going to be doing is going south. So you're not going east or west, so we don't got to worry about time zones or anything like that.
Yeah, that's not bad though. It's just the worst thing is when they do that on a travel day, and during the times they have to do a day game the day after. That's always the worst thing they have to do.
You never see a Monday day game though.
That happened in 2006, and somehow by luck the Mets managed to win that day game the next day. 2016. My mistake. 2016. They had to play a day game after a Sunday night game, and because of that, they freaking had to give half the team the day off. And somehow the Mets managed.
That's just because it was the 4th of July, I believe, or it was one of those holidays. That's the only reason.
It was Labor Day weekend, but yeah, because
I know it was a holiday.
That stupid schedule, because ESPN with that stupid scheduling, and somehow by luck they says, because of this dumb Sunday night game, they have to throw in, they have to potentially give away this game, and somehow by luck the Mets managed to steal that win and keep that hot streak going. That somehow propelled them to a wild card in 2016.
That's right. And all right, Dan, let's keep it rolling here. We'll get to the trade deadline in a second. Let's do the Yankees first. We'll hit both of them at the same time. As the Yankees now, they just took a big series. They played a big series in Toronto. Unfortunately for the Yanks, though, they end up losing that one, an 8-4 loss. Just awful defense yesterday for the Yankees, committing 4 errors, one of their worst defensive performances of the year. And the thing that sucks for the Yankees the most is that this basically sealed the deal that Toronto has won the season series. Not only have they won that, Toronto is they took 6 out of 7 games in Toronto this year. So the Yankees really having a tough time with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's like what the Yankees just fell cold at the worst time when they're playing the team they're chasing. Like, they're not going to get. This is not like back in the day when they had more games against division opponents. This is potentially a huge hole for the Yankees to climb out of, especially with the way Toronto is playing. They missed a big opportunity. And speaking of other things that that I guess sort of a Yankee needs to be shamed for, shame on Derek Jeter. Even though I'm a Mets fan, I have to say, I can't believe this guy was the Yankees captain, and he doesn't show up when they do these reunions on like old timers day or teams that he was a prominent part of. How could this guy have been could have been known as been the captain and not show up to celebrate with his teammates of one of the accomplishments he was part of as a team? And this guy was the captain of the Yankees, and he's not showing up.
He's not the captain anymore.
Yeah, I know, but just the fact during his playing days, he was the Yankees captain. I feel like that's something that's carried with you the rest of your career, and it's just that it's a bad look on Jeter. My personal opinion, it's a bad look on him for not showing up for those people you won a World Series with.
You know, I know what you're talking about, Dan. I get it, and in a lot of ways I agree with you, but in a lot of ways I'm also just like, it's Derek Jeter. Like, the guy, as much as he should be there, I feel like you're right about that. You can't not. The guy's got 5 World Series rings. He's one of the greatest players of all time. If he doesn't want to show up, we could also say the same thing about David Wright. David Wright hasn't. He's not going to be playing in any of this stuff. David Wright hasn't played in the old timers game. Maybe Derek Jeter kind of feels like David Wright does, where he's not old enough yet to participate in things like that. You know what I mean? Maybe he feels like he's not that far removed from the game yet. So, well, on principle, I do agree with you. I also say, you know what? It's Derek Jeter. The same way I'm not going to get on David Wright for not playing, I can't get on Derek Jeter. The guy did everything right in his career, and if he doesn't want to participate in that now, yeah, it stinks, but hopefully down the line we eventually get it.
Yeah, exactly. Probably eventually down the line, he he shows up. Like maybe the 30th anniversary, and and hopefully that drought, that championship drought, still goes on a couple more years. It's like I kind
Let's
of
hope so.
secretly want. I don't like to say this to respect to the Yankee fans watching this. I kind of secretly hope they go through as long of a championship drought as long as us Met fans have had to go through.
Well, they're getting up there right now. I mean, we right now, let's see, I turn 40 next year, so it'll be 40 for the Mets next year. And yeah, the Yankees are already up to about, what, 16 right now. So not quite halfway there, but the Yankees, it's the longest championship list drought the Yankees have had since they went from 1978 to 1996. So it's
Yeah,
the longest
exactly.
drought they've had since.
Yeah, I'm kind of secretly like thinking like, yeah, it's about time some of these Yankee fans my age know what going through droughts like this are like, because I feel like they gone through so much. They went through so much winning. They get to
Yeah,
just seeing them celebrating so much.
no doubt about it, Dan. No doubt about it. And right now, the Yankees, though, they're still in it. They're still a contender, even though they've gone through their bad stretch right now. The Yankees are 10 games over 500, even with that series loss. They're the top wild card seed right now, 2 games ahead of everybody else. And they currently sit 4 games behind the Blue Jays for first place in the American League East. The Yankees do have a good one on the horizon, though, right now, too. This is a guy who caught my eye in spring training this year, former Yankees first round pick, center field prospect Spencer Jones is killing it right now and is just daring the Yankees and Brian Cashman to bring him up to the major leagues. He hit 3 home runs earlier today. This isn't a stat from a week or two ago. He hit 3 home runs in a game earlier today in AAA, and currently at AAA now, he's hitting 387 with 10 home runs and 21 RBIs in 18 games. This guy is knocking on the door of the majors, Dan. And if you ask me, I think he's going to be wearing pinstripes before the year is over.
Yeah, exactly. I feel what you Yankee fans got to do, if you got, especially if you got a car, maybe drive over to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, maybe see maybe the building that the office was supposedly in. Maybe you could do that whole thing, but also maybe check out this prospect, similar to how I did one time when I was visiting someone I knew who was living in Buffalo at the time. I caught a game in Buffalo once when the Mets had their AAA team there, and I saw Matt Harvey, who was a big prospect, maybe a couple months before he was about to be called up. Some of you Yankee fans, especially if you have a car, I would recommend driving up or maybe down. I think Pennsylvania south of us to the Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and maybe go check out this prospect pre MLB that's about to be called up at a cheap price.
Oh, believe me, Yankee fans are keeping tabs on this guy. You're right, and I'm sure there's more than a few of them that are taking that same kind of road trip that you did back in the day, because this kid is on the horizon right now for the Yankees. He is the next big thing, and man, if he turns into a cornerstone for the Yankees, like they were hoping Anthony Volpe was, this is going to be a dangerous team for the Yankees. They got a lot of young talent on this team to mix with those vets they got on there too. And now Dan, I hope you be breaking out your Yankee hat over the weekend, because we might not wear it too often, but we had to dust our Yankees hats off last weekend when they played the Atlanta Braves. It's time to dust the Yankees hats off one more time this weekend, Dan, as the Yankees are going to be playing the Philadelphia Phillies in a big 2009 World Series rematch that is going to directly implicate how the National League East plays out over the next week, as the Phillies are going to be throwing Taijuan Walker tomorrow at Yankee Stadium. The former Met takes his 3-5 record, 3.75 ERA to Yankee Stadium, going against rookie Will Warren, who's 6-5 with a 4.91 ERA. So that's a big matchup, Dan. So we're going to be big Yankee fans this weekend.
Well, I did text him. I did text my uncle and my Yankee fan uncle in Florida. He says, "You guys better beat the Phillies this weekend." That's what I told. That's what I told him in a text. I told him that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They better be beating the Phillies. Although, this is the opening matchup on Friday night, the marquee matchup of the weekend, though. And I don't know how this didn't end up on Sunday Night Baseball, because this is a much more must-see game than the Mets against the Giants. The Giants stink, and the Mets are good, but the Giants stink, so it kills the whole atmosphere, I guess, if you will. But Yankees and Phillies on Sunday, it's a 1:35 start, and that matchup is Carlos Rodon against Zach Wheeler. That's going to be a hell of a matchup.
Yep, that's true. And with those crazy Philly fans, it kind of works out perfectly that Yankee Stadium has a police station nearby. I can tell you, I don't know if you've been to Yankee Stadium, if you've ever seen the Mets on the road in the Bronx before, but there is a massive police presence at Yankee Stadium if you've been there. There is a massive police presence in that stadium. There is, like, especially on game day, there is a massive police presence at Yankee Stadium. I've been there for games again when the Mets have played against the Yankees. I was there for both times the Rangers played an outdoor hockey game in the Bronx. So I
was actually, I was actually in the newspaper one time at Yankee Stadium for a Mets-Yankees game, sitting front row on the third base line right behind Alex Rodriguez when he made Jorge Posada made an errant throw down the third base line, and it allowed, I forget who it was, I want to say Jason Phillips, this is 2004, to score. And you see me and my cousin in the background after A-Rod is trying to get the ball, and you see us in the background with our arms up. You can't really see it because I'm keying out right now, but we have our arms up, decked out in our Mets gear right behind A-Rod committing the error.
I was at that game in the upper deck, if that's the game you're talking about. Was that a game? Was that the one the Mets won that series?
The Mets won that game 9-3 in 2004. It was the Saturday afternoon game, and Al Leiter pitched.
That's the one I was at that year. I was in the upper deck. I was in the upper deck at that game. How crazy is that? I was in the upper deck that game, and I swear one of these days if you still have a copy of that newspaper, you got to show us like a screen cap of that newspaper photo.
I don't. I've actually been looking for it for like 20 years. I used to have, because it was June 27th, 2004. I don't know why I know the date, but it's still in my head. And I used to have a copy of it on my wall in my house. But when we redid the house and everything, I ended up losing my my copy of it, and I've been trying to track down that image
what newspaper was it? Some websites have little archives.
Yeah, I believe it was the Daily News. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it was the Daily News.
Maybe check the Daily News website, their archives. See if you could find that photo.
I have. I've actually. I looked on the AP. I looked on the Daily News, Newsday, the Post. I haven't been able to find it yet. I'm still looking though. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, maybe even go as far as contacting the Daily News themselves.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I'm gonna find it one day, but unfortunately, it's eluded me for quite some time at this point now. As we have a celebrity in the audience, George Zimmerman, hanging out with us here.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of the Daily News, if you love like visiting movie locations, there's a major movie location that was prominently featured in the original Christopher Reeve Superman that was filmed in that Daily News building.
Really?
Yeah, and it is one of the coolest lobbies. Like I went inside it once. It's a cool, because I heard about how cool this lobby is. It's like this giant globe, and it's a unique giant globe. As you see, like countries that don't exist anymore on that globe, when they put that in, like when that giant globe was put in place in that lobby at the Daily News building, it still lists Russia as the Soviet Union. That's how old that giant globe is. and it's
true.
it's a unique little work of art that it's in the lobby of that building. And if you've seen the Superman movie, you've probably seen that lobby in the movie, in one of the scenes in the movie. I've watched that movie many times. So, you actually remember the scene that it probably was in? You've seen that globe in the background?
Yeah, and exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah,
I was actually just watching that Superman movie maybe last week.
yeah. So I highly recommend if you like love movie filming locations. That's a pretty cool looking the lobby of that building is a pretty cool looking movie location to check out.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Definitely gonna check that out. All right, Dan. Let's turn our attention now as we round it down here. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming trade deadline, real quick. As you know, we're a week away. The trade deadline is July 31st. Mets and the Yankees both looking to make moves, and now this is what's just coming out for both teams right now. It doesn't mean these are the only guys they're involved with, but this is what I'm hearing right now is that the Yankees are coveting and really in on Eugenio Suarez or Colorado infielder Ryan McMahon. Um, I feel like the Yankees definitely need a bat but to be honest, to me, the Yankees lineup is playing really good right now. And while they do need a guy, I feel like you don't even have to go as far out for Eugenio Suarez. I feel like a Ryan McMahon would fit perfectly in there. And then if I was the Yankees, I'd go out and bring in a big time pitcher, whether that's a relief pitcher or a starter. That's up to Brian Cashman. But the Yankees definitely need a bat that could plug in and a big time pitcher.
Yeah, exactly. And somehow I hope the Yankees don't sweep under the rug someone that we're trying to get after.
Yeah, because right now the guy that I really want, and I don't know how the Mets feel about it, but the guy I want is Eugenio Suarez. I would love to have Eugenio Suarez on my team. That guy, he plays great defense. He hits for pop. I feel like if you put him right in that lineup behind, Pete in there, whether you want to stick McNeil in between them, whatever you want to do to break it up, putting him in there would really break that lineup up a lot and extend it. I would love to see that, but I mean, just imagine the damage he would do, though, too. If you stuck him in that Yankees lineup and he's sitting behind Aaron Judge.
Yeah, that would be a killer lineup the Yankee fans would be lucky enough to have.
Oh yeah. And you see, the thing that annoys me, Dan, too, is that we're talking about those guys for the Yankees, two pretty good pickups. Now, I'm a big fan of Mitch Keller. Me and you discussed him on our Patreon show this past week. By the way, if you want, you can check out our Patreon. It's only $5 a month. Patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. We appreciate everybody that's subscribed already. And but for this, look, I want Mitch Keller. I would take Mitch Keller in a heartbeat. High-end relief pitching, I love the sound of that. Go out and get me a high-end relief guy so we got a super bullpen. If you want to go out and trade me for Emmanuel Clace, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Give me Clace and put it with Diaz, the back end of this bullpen, and let's go to war. The guy I don't want on this is Luis Robert. This guy has been a talked-up prospect for the last 4 or 5 years, and he stinks. He doesn't do anything. I'd rather have the center fielder Duran from the Red Sox. This guy is garbage. He's hitting 206. Why would the Mets want this guy?
Yeah, this guy, avoid at all costs, big nose douchebag.
Yeah, I mean, is there anybody that you have in mind in particular for like a bat that you would want the Mets to bring in, Dan?
Aside from Suarez, that guy in the Red Sox you mentioned, that guy I'd be all for that. And the same, and of course pitching, I would say Mitch Keller. As long as you don't have to give up too many of the pitching prospects. I feel like position player prospects we have too many in too many in multiple positions. So I could see that maybe happening. And
let me ask you this.
There's one
Yeah,
position player prospect I feel the Mets maybe should not trade. Maybe what's that guy? Drew Gilbert.
Drew Gilbert. Okay, yeah, the center fielder.
That one I feel like maybe we that one maybe try not to give up unless you're getting something like a starting pitching, something like that maybe.
Yeah.
But I really feel like maybe you could give up one of the pitching prospects, but not all of them. I feel like you got to keep some.
I'm with you on that.
You got to keep one or two of the pitching prospects.
Yeah, and the thing is too with the Mets. Let me ask you this, Dan. If the Mets want to get Emmanuel Clase, would you be willing to give up Ronnie Mauricio?
Maybe that I'd be willing to give up.
Because it would be Ronnie Mauricio and more, but Ronnie Mauricio would be one of the big things, and then let's just say two prospects, one pitcher and one bat. Not Drew Gilbert, not anybody, high end, but two pretty decent prospects to go along with Ronnie Mauricio. Would you be willing to do it?
Maybe one of the pitchers, not that guy. Something Tong. What's his name? Not him.
Yeah, Jonah Tong.
Yeah, not him. And not definitely not him. And the other guy, I forget. I keep forgetting the other guy names that we.
Brandon Sprout.
Yeah, maybe not him.
Yeah,
but maybe not those two, because I feel like those two are going to be very key, and I don't want a repeat of the Scott Kashmir disaster.
That's true too. For me, the guy that I don't want to give up in the minors, I don't really look as fondly at Drew Gilbert as a lot of Met fans do. He's been way inconsistent in the minor leagues, and he could come up to the majors and tear it up. I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. The guy that I would hold on to is Jet Williams. I'm a big fan of Jet Williams. His athleticism, his ability to steal bases, his contact. He gets 300 at every level. That's the guy I would love to hold on to.
Yeah, maybe that's what we hold on to. I feel like maybe if they've been trying to put him in the outfield, because I feel like
he's played center field a lot.
Yeah, because I feel like if he's in the outfield, that might be really good for him. That might really work better for the team. I feel like because we're like jam. We have a log jam in the infield. And
and he has the ability to move around, kind of like McNeil. Where you can use him in the infield, you can use him in the outfield. That versatility means a lot.
And I've actually seen this guy when he played for the Cyclones. I've seen him in action. So he's a pretty decent prospect, I have to say, Jet Williams. He is.
You're right.
He's pretty decent. I've been lucky enough to get to see these prospects thanks to the fact we have our high A affiliate in Brooklyn, which gives us easy access to. We have easy access to one of the minor league affiliates, so we get to see some of these prospects. And I've seen guys that are currently on this team when they were in the minors, like I feel like one of the more notable people that have played for the Cyclones that are currently on the Mets has to be Pete Alonso.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And then last thing on the Mets before we move on to our last little bit of show before we get out of here is I did want to say, Dan, us Met fans have come out in full force this year in 2025. The Mets, as we were mentioning before, averaged 41,000 people on a 6-game homestand in the middle of July. You see that in April when the season first starts. You see that in September when they're on a pennant race, but you usually don't see that in the middle of the season. And Steve Cohen was bitching, and understandably so, why the Mets had no, the Mets didn't really have great attendance last year when the team was going on their run. And as I pointed out earlier, it's because the team sucked in 2023 and you didn't sell those tickets. People just aren't going to appear magically in the building. They have to sell those tickets, and a lot of that, guys like me and you, Dan, will buy a ticket on the day of and go. A lot of other people aren't like that. They like to buy their tickets well in advance, so that's what happened this offseason. You had a great year last year. You went out and signed Juan Soto this year, and it's not magic, and it's not, rocket science. The Mets went out there and are basically selling out every game now. So my thing is now, hey, Steve Cohen, hey, David Stearns, you laid out a challenge to Met fans. We accepted the challenge and have gone, I'm sure, well beyond what you probably even imagined at this point for how attendance is going to be. The Mets are in the top 3 in attendance this year. It's insane. This is the last time the Mets had attendance this good was the first year of Citi Field in 2009. That's the last time the Mets had attendance this good. So if we went out and held up our end of the bargain, you got to go out and hold up your end of the bargain, and that is the trade deadline this year. I don't want to see any half measures. I don't want to see any lottery tickets. I don't want to see Daniel Vogelback. I want you to go out there, big game hunting, and bring in the guys that we need. Make a splash. We need a bat, and we need probably at least 2 arms. And I'm saying we need a starter. This needs to be a 2015 type of deadline. You need to give us the Uribes. You need to give us the Kelly Johnsons. You need to give us the Yoenis Cespedeses. You need to give us the Addison Reeds. You need to go out and give us the Tyler Clippards. We need all those guys. We need as much as you can give us. Go out there and get it done. Go all in. Right, Dan?
Yeah, right. Exactly. If I was Steve Cohen, I would want to go all in. I feel like Steve Cohen needed to do this as soon as he owned the team. I feel like I would want to go on. I would really look at it as the fact that if I was Steve Cohen, freaking bought the New York Mets, a team with a high expectations. You owe it to the fans that I feel like you have to understand that the legacy as an owner, get that championship, is on the line the moment you buy the New York Mets.
Yeah. Your name, you're either going to go down as a joke like the Wilpons, or you're going to go down as a Steinbrenner type that went in there and reinvigorated this franchise and brought a championship, or God forbid, 2 to the town and the team. So, yeah, you're 100% right. And look, like we said, Met fans held up our end of the bargain. It's time for the Mets to do the same. They did it in the offseason. They gave us Juan Soto. They gave us, a couple other little things to placate us. But Soto was the big thing. And by placating, I mean signing, Manaea to the extension and bringing Pete back. So they're, even though the team didn't drastically change, they still did certain things where you can point to and say, okay, that's a step in the right direction. That's a step in the right direction. This one, though, you got to prove to the fan base, or I'm telling you right now, there are going to be a lot of angry fans out there if the Mets have a crappy deadline. If they go out there and give us one of these garbage, deadlines where you get nothing and it's all frustration, and you see the Phillies getting guys left and right, you see the Yankees getting guys left and right, there's going to be a lot of angry Met fans over there, and it might reflect poorly in their attendance going down the stretch.
Yeah, I remember cursing up a storm in 2022. Like, what the fuck? I was like really furious at the moves that were made in 2022. So I do not want that. I feel like Steve Cohen needs to do what he did during the offseason. They drop the hammer and go after the goal all in.
That's right. From your lips to God's ears, Dan. Let's hope the Mets pull the trigger. And last thing before we get out of here, Dan, NFL training camps opened this week, so the Jets and the Giants are underway. We are crazy to think 6 weeks away, really, from the start of the NFL regular season. And
that just feels like the time's gone by quick. I was just about to comment about what you were saying. And of course, also yours truly will be at the Giants training camp on Sunday.
Yeah, that's yeah. So it's gonna be in full swing by the time you show up there. No doubt about it. They had practices this week already, and already, Dan, the Jets have already suffered a catastrophic injury to their quarterback room, and that's quarterback Justin Fields, who everybody was so excited about that Justin Fields signed. The Jets finally got a young quarterback, and they got rid of Aaron Rodgers. Well, guess what? Aaron Rodgers is in Pittsburgh right now, and he's looking pretty healthy. Justin Fields dislocated his toe on the first practice as a Jet, and the Jets are now backtracking and saying, even though he got carted off the field, and I'm telling you, every Jet fan in the world was already thinking the worst, the Jets claim that he did avoid major injury. It's just a dislocated toe, and that he will return. He's going to miss, a few weeks of practice, but he should be back shortly after that. But man, what a way to kick this season off. I spent all offseason, how mad I've been at the Jets. And for this already to happen, the first day of practice, A, it doesn't surprise me, and B, it just makes me think to myself, everybody was saying, oh, you're wrong about, all my friends and everything who are Jet fans and drink the Kool-Aid are telling me, oh, you're wrong about the Jets. They're going to be okay this year. It's a breath of fresh air with Aaron Glenn and Muji. Oh, they paid Sauce. They paid Garrett. And when it comes down to it, Dan, it's the same old, same old. We're looking at an injured quarterback and Tyrod Taylor starting for us next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that looks like, again, I have to put on the Jet fan suicide prevention for you again.
Well, it's not going to be that bad this year because I'm still really, really mad at the Jets, and it's going to take them, they're going to have to show me that they're much like what happened last year with the Mets. And hey, maybe this is a good sign for the 2025 Jets too, because last year I was as pissed off at the Mets going into last year as I've ever been, and they went all the way to the NLCS. So hey, maybe I'm as pissed off at the Jets as I've ever been right now. I've been a diehard Jet fan since 1993, and this is as mad at the Jets as I've ever been. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they'll surprise everybody like the Mets did last year. I'm not counting on that, but hey, I guess if you want to look on the bright side. But I'm telling you, man, if the Jets go out there and start like 1-7 this year, you're not even going to have to worry about the suicide prevention hotline, because I'm already going to be punched out, as the old O&A saying goes.
Yep. So maybe I might have a little break, and I don't have to put on my suicide prevention hat for you.
Yeah.
But
I'll be I'll be going on the website and ordering my Pittsburgh Steelers Aaron Rodgers jersey.
But I do have to say that
Right.
You're gonna have to figure out an equivalent of last year. What you did with the Mets, how you bought a City Connect. What would be like the Jets fan equivalent to that if the Jets made the playoffs? What would be the purchase you would make if you were proven wrong? What would be that purchase? I got to figure that out.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Maybe next time I'll have to wear my City Connect jersey and we'll discuss that. Because you're right. We do have to come up with something like that. If the Jets surprise me this year and go on a run, and you know what? I won't even say make the playoffs. If the Jets finish over 500, I'll make this. I'll go this way, and I'll go out of my way and make this purchase, whatever we decide it is. So okay, I like the fact that you brought that up, Dan. Let's keep that in the back of our minds.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to figure out. You got plenty of time to figure out what that purchase would be. Whatever that purchase would be, you would have to make that set purchase.
That's true. Maybe a Sauce Gardner like retro jersey, something like that. Maybe we'll figure it out. But definitely, that's a good idea. And with that, everybody, that's going to do it for us here on this edition of Best Seat in the House podcast. want to thank everybody for hanging out with us here on this Thursday night, talking a little New York sports here with me and the great Daniel Bobo Curlin. Before we get out of here, Dan, anything like to plug for yourself?
Sure, I gotta plug my my Twitter account Bobo103NYC, Instagram Bobo718DK. Also don't forget subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll get access to a lot of to do our Patreon exclusive show and 1 week early access whenever I post something on YouTube. So definitely be on the lookout for that, and you get access to Trackside Minute, where I talk about stuff that happened with the NASCAR Cup Series. So you got a lot of great stuff you get access to, all for the course of the equivalent of a round trip on the subway. So that's right. not bad. That's not bad of a deal. So definitely subscribe. Subscribe and check that stuff out. And there is a hilarious. I'm working on a little hilarious thing at a Met game. Me and Stevie Lou are doing in a nothing crazy that gets into trouble, but just something a little silly at a Met game that I thought it would be a little silly thing to do later in the season. That I approached Stevie Lou about, and he's loving the idea. So it says, and you're gonna get when that video that happens, you guys will get 1 week early access to it, as you do whenever I upload stuff to my YouTube. You guys get 1 week early access to it.
Exactly. So make sure you check out patreon.com/Best Seat in the House podcast. It's only $5. We appreciate everybody that subscribes for it. So for my co-host, the great Daniel Bobo Curlin, I'm Rob Cramer. This is the Best Seat in the House podcast. Everybody, we will be back with you on Patreon on Sunday for our normal show. And as always, we'll be back with you next week right here, same bat time, same bat channel, 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. So for the great Daniel Bobo Curlin, I'm Rob Cramer. This is the Best Seat in the House podcast, everybody. Have a great weekend.